Welcome back to Stamping at the Warren, and I'm Kim Tolton, and today I'm sharing with you another card that I have cased from the new and upcoming annual catalogue. However, everything bar the framelits is available in... I'm really sorry, they're playing with my puppy outside and he's making a bit of a noise. He wants his dinner. Right, so anyway, oh, that's really thrown me. Yeah, so this is a card, the design of which was is in the new catalogue, and I just thought, you know what, I really like that. Now, when I made it, you can see here the embossing is hearts. Since preparing this, I've completely misplaced it. I have absolutely no idea. The only thing I can do is go through my bins to make sure I haven't accidentally put it in the bin. I don't know how I could, but you know, so I'm going to use it with butterfly embossing folder instead. So it is a watercolour technique using an aqua painter. So the supplies that you need are, you want some of the pop of pink washi tape, a piece of old olive cardstock that we'll be die cutting the heart from. You then need a piece of shimmery white cardstock measuring 14.4 by 10.1 and another little piece that will be for the sentiment, which is 7 by 3 centimetres. And the reason we're using shimmery white is because it works well with watercolour techniques. The actual card base was made by trimming a piece of A4 cardstock in half so that it measures 30, well, it's just shy of 30. I think it's 28, I think. So you want the full length, and then I usually score through the middle at 14. It's normally 14.8. I think I usually score it at 14.7, and that will give you a side fold, a long side fold card. Just fold it in half and burnish. Put it well away because of all the inky stuff. You're also going to need the following ink pads. You want Archival Basic Black, Rich Razzleberry and Old Olive. And the stamp set is Birthday Blooms. I love this stamp, I think it's beautiful. And then we're using the Butterfly Fluttering embossing folder. And the Sweet and Sassy framelits dies, which are going to be in the new catalogue. I'm a bit brain dead today, aren't I? I'm tired. I think we had such a busy weekend, so I'm just picking out the die I want. You can see that there's different designs of heart in there and different sizes, so you just pick the one that you want. And then lastly, you just want some Melon Mambo thicker baker's twine. Just bear with me if I'm a bit fuzzy headed today. Right, so let's get going. So the thing we need to start with is the watercolour technique, and then we can do some of the other bits whilst the cardstock is drying. Now you don't want to... Sorry, there's adhesive on there and it's bothering me, and I don't like adhesive on my grid paper. Right, because we're doing a watercolour technique on this shimmery white cardstock, it's fine for doing what we're doing, but not absolutely saturating the cardstock. If you're going to get it very wet, you really need to be using you really need to be using watercolour paper. Otherwise this will just disintegrate if you put too much water through it. So let's start, And we're going to be doing this beautiful big bloom and using archival black, and that's because that allows us to stamp and it stops the image from bleeding too much around. And you just want to randomly stamp some of these flowers so that there's a bit on each side. I quite like this little flower here, so we'll get a bit of that in there. And I think that is enough. That leaves us quite a nice lot of white space. Actually, whilst I've got that out, I'm going to stamp the sentiment, which is happiest of birthdays to you. And that is going down on that little scrap of shimmery white cardstock. And all the measurements, as always, will be on my blog, so don't worry yourself over scribbling everything down. Put those to one side and then pop that away so it doesn't dry out. Archival ink pads will dry out quicker because they're alcohol based. Right, whilst again this is drying, I'm just going to use my paper snips. Yes, it was obviously tidy after my last video and did actually put my paper snips away for a change. And you're just going to create banner ends just by snipping in the middle and then coming up from the edge on the other side, and same on this side. There you go, and that's your little banner ready. Okay, so this should be nice and dry now. Give it a little test and we can start getting our watercolouring underway. So I have used that lovely rich raspberry. The first thing you want to do is squidge your ink pad together, and when you open it you will find that ink has transferred into the well. And with your first bit I would just quickly rub over with a little water just over the images, just to moisten them up a little bit, and then they will take up colour easier. You don't want to go mad because we obviously don't want it leaching out too much. So I'm going to do the flowers first. Start from the middle and work up. You can see what I mean by applying a little bit of water to start with. It gives you a little bit more fluency. And you just work your way all the way around. I'll be as quick as I can so I don't bore you. I always go from the bottom up because the base of the flower will always be darker than the tip of the flower, because it's the most shaded. There you go. And obviously you can really change the feel or the colour scheme that you're using with this stamp. I do like to see different shades of colour, so I do tend to work the ink until it is graduated, again because it's a bit more natural. Some petals are older, so they will be darker, lighter, and others will be much darker because they're fresh. And I don't worry too much if a little bit of that colour leaches over. That's the nature of watercolour for me. I do love the fluidness of watercolour. It's a kind of free way of colouring. Whereas oils, and I did do it all at art college, and for me it was either graphic work or watercolour. They were my two favoured techniques by far. And you just keep picking up the colour off of that well. And it all happens really quite quickly. And it dries quickly as well, which is what's so lovely. And I always find that you do your flowers, and then as you come back round you realise you've left some out. So you'll probably find I'll be coming back and doing a bit more once I've done the green. You'll have to tell me what your preferred colouring methods are. I think it's fascinating finding out what other people find they like the best. And I think I've got it all, but there we are. We'll see in a minute. Right, so that's Rich Razzleberry. And I did forget another ink pad, because we will need a bit of yellow. And for that I used Daffodil Delight. I'm going to do the Old Olive first. This is just to do leaves. And straight away I've seen a flower that or a petal I should say, that I missed. And another one there. It's not until you start putting the colours together that you realise you've missed things out. but we will come back to them. Do your little stems on the flowers as well. And this is a lovely colour collection. I think the colours work together extremely well. And they cross over as a real in-between the regals and the subtles, which makes it a really important colour collection for me. Because it does do that bridging. And it helps to blend the colours together. I should have music playing really, shouldn't I? Keeping you all occupied. Right. I'm going to go back. Oh no, I think I'll do the yellow first and then I'll go back and do the I'll go back and hook up straight away. I've missed leaves, oh for goodness sake, because I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm just using Daffodil Delight just to colour in all of the stamens on those flowers. Gives a lovely intensity. Back to the green. See how many leaves are left out? You count them. Too many. Little stem there. Right, that looks like all the leaves. And then finally back to Rich Raspberry for those last few petals. Oh, my ink pad's falling apart. Don't worry, they go together again. Dum, dum. Yep, I think we've got it now. I'm not going to bore you with putting this back together again, but it does all clip back together again. It's just a matter of slotting it back in the holes here and it will slot back on. I'll do that once I finish the video, otherwise I'll be an inky mess, and if I'm an inky mess, the card will be an inky mess. Right, that is already dry, but just to give it a little bit of extra time, we'll do the embossing and the die cutting first. So I shall grab my Big Shot. And you will need both the magnetic platform and the multi-purpose platform. So we will start by die cutting the heart. The blades are just a slightly raised edge around the edge there, and you can see I always roughly cut my cardstock to size. You have much less wastage that way. And I've left the second cutting plate over there. So the sandwich I'm using is a magnetic plate, but multi-purpose platform if you haven't got that. Then an acrylic cutting plate, your cardstock, then your die face down, second cutting plate, and then you just roll it through. Just hold on to the top here to give you purchase. And there is your beautiful heart. And next we need to swap the magnetic platform for the multi-purpose platform, and you need it on tab 1. And then you have your cutting plate. Get your embossing folder, and we're using the fluttering, and this is a nice 5-inch one, so it's 6-inch I think, so it fits in here really nicely. You just have to make sure that the edges are tucked in properly. Push forward and just the same, and it doesn't feel the same as going through with a die. You almost think, oh, it's not done anything, but it will have, as you can see there. So that is the die cutting and the embossing done. So I'll pop the magnetic platform and my big shot and everything else back over there. Give it space. And now we can assemble the card. So you've got your little die cut there, and you can choose which side you have facing up. Got our piece of watercoloured cardstock, and we need a little sentiment, and you want your baker's twine, and this bit is really simple. So the first thing to do is to pop your card down onto your card base, so mat that down first, and I'm just going to use Stampin' Dimensionals actually, otherwise there's not really much lift on this card, so it just helps to give a bit more dimension. And I do like to see shadows and contrast on cards and scrapbook pages. And just pop that down onto your card front. Says me, no I don't. I want to put some baker's twine down first. So I'll do this. Do it this way, because I've already got my dimensionals on. There we go. So we'll pop that down. And before I tie my bow, I need that and my washi tape. What did I do with the washi tape? Tucked under there. Right. My goodness, it seems to be getting hotter and hotter. So we're just going to put a couple of strips of overlapping washi tape going through the middle here, and then you will see why I picked the colours that I picked. Can you see that? So although the washi tape is pinks and blue, it's all in colours, it actually works so well with this colour collection. And I'm going to put these bits together first, I think. Right, next pop your dimensionals on the back of your label. 1 and 2. and just pop those at an angle onto your heart. And then your heart, you just need 3 dimensionals because obviously it's a different shape. 1, 2, 3, and you need to bring that over there. Pop this over, and now we can tie the bow. So I should just snip some baker's twine. Now this is how I do my bows. Start by tying a single knot in the normal way. Then I swizzle my card round by 180 degrees and the loops go backwards. So you pick up your loop and the tails are going away from you. You want your 2 loops to be roughly the same size. Pull, turn it around, and now you can play with how large you want your loops to be. So I like them to be fairly in proportion. So you just pull on your tails, and if one of the tails gets a bit stuck, just give it a bit of a tug, pull, and then I want it a bit smaller again, so I just pull. Hopefully you can see that I'm just making those ears smaller, and by doing it this way round, what you see is the tails are going in the right direction and the ears are going in the right direction, because very often they're not. So just shorten your tails, and there's your card, all done. I think that looks quite pretty, just as much as the heart version with the heart embossing, and I'd love to see your versions. Do join my community Pinterest board where you can start pinning and sharing your own photos. Let me know what you think about the technique once you've had a go. I think it's a fun technique. It's a brilliant technique for children to do as well. Kids love painting and drawing, so it's a great way of getting children involved in card making. And that's it for today, so I'll see you again for another video. There has been a bit of a change because my videos are taking so long to upload. I'm going to be doing 3 typed blogs a day with a different project on, and then 2 or 3 videos in a week, just to cover me for when time is really tough. And I do like to do 5 blogs a day if I can, so I'm just modifying it a little bit so that I'm not letting people down by saying I'll see you tomorrow and then there is no video tomorrow because it's still uploading. That's it for today. Now do remember, you've used archival ink on these. Make sure you use an archival ink cleaner such as StazOn cleaner. You can order it from my online store as well, so just make sure you do that. It will prolong the life of your stamps enormously. Thank you so much for watching, and all of my information is in the show more section. You can get to my blog in 2 ways. Either click on the link underneath today's video or click on the eye icon in the top right corner of the video, and that will take you to my blog. Just click on the card and it will take you straight to my blog, and it will be today's post that it takes you to. Thanks a lot. Speak to you again. Bye for now.